Let me start by saying that you are legitimately and truthfully a hero of mine, and I want to explain why. You grew up right outside of Cabrini Green. You were raised by a single mother. Your dad was not around that much. There was violence all over the place. When you were 10 years old, you moved to Indianapolis to get away, away from the violence. And you became, ultimately, CEO of one of the largest companies on planet Earth. And in the midst of that entire progression, your energy is about as good as I've ever experienced in a human being. So talk to us about what about your young days as a young kid created the energy that you so uniquely possess and give to the rest of us.
Yeah. Well, first off, it's great to be here. Hopefully you all are having a good time. You know, Brad, it's funny. My wife and I both grew up. She grew up in Cabrini. I grew up just a couple blocks away. I was raised by my grandmother, to your point. And there was nothing that, you know, when we grew up in a blessed neighborhood. I mean, what people thought about how we grew up, where we grew up, and what we thought about it were totally different. So I always look so fondly back at my childhood and from whence I've come. But the greatest part about it is that everyone in the neighborhood when I grew up had this sense, this feeling, you know, that you can do anything that you want to do. I especially had it. My grandmother was, she was old school. And when I say old school,
what does that mean?
Old school means she came up in Mississippi. She was a disciplinarian. So, you know, what happens today that people might call child abuse, you know, I didn't step on that side of the street too much because she would bring that back. But, you know, the one thing is she focused on the right things. And I know it now, you know, with Liz and I having raised our kids, and my son's here, Xavier, works in the company now. But what she focused on was not, what are your grades for this semester? What'd you do yesterday? She focused on, are you being the best you can be? The best person you can be.
And reacting to that led you to create you. You were creating something based upon making her happy? Was it making, who are you making happy? And how does that relate to your drive?
You know, I've always believed that for all of us, and I've given this talk to a lot of people over the years, people have asked me, so Don, talk to us about the priority. How do you prioritize things? So first I always say is my faith and my belief in Christ. You know, that is foundational for me. And everybody has something a little different that is that foundational piece. That's it for me. The second thing has to be me. You know, I've got to be whole in terms of making sure that I can support my family and support them in a way that they can aspire to do all the things they want to do. And then it's my family, because that's the central core. You know, I would do anything for my family, my kids, my wife, because they are, my wife's my best friend. We've been together 35 years, since we were freshmen in college. And so...
And that's part of your success, is the stability? The stability, and then how you translate that into what you take out into the world. Is that a fair statement?
Oh, and first of all, thank you for recognizing it. These days, a lot of times when we go out and I give talks, it's Liz and I both, because the reality of it is it has been both of us. And that is a tremendous strength. You know it as well.
I do. And I'm wondering what you see young people today living in the same spot that you grew up. Have you been, you must know who lives there. Does the house, apartment, does it still exist?
The apartment at 1342 still exists. The neighborhood's very different now.
What do you think I don't want to go cliche, but what do you see when you're interacting, which I know you do often, with kids from throughout our community? What do you see that you now know is not happening right? And I mean in the house. What messages are being delivered that might not be straight on, that might lead at least to the pattern recognition of your success?
I think, and it's a great question. I think that there are certain aspects that are clearly there. And there's a lot of kids today being raised by grandmothers and aunts and moms and, some being raised by dads. And I hope that it's more and more and more. I think that's special in a person's life. But one of the things that Liz and I both see as we talk to a lot of younger folks is that what's missing a little is that gleam in their eye of understanding, wow, I could do that. And I think part of that has to do with exposure to different scenarios, situations that they might then be able to say, man, that's pretty cool. The other thing that's missing a little bit is the way that we view sometimes those we aspire to be like. So when I was growing up, I couldn't let Dr. King down. With all that he did, I couldn't let down the Malcolms and the Rosa Parks. I couldn't let down people who had done so much. And I couldn't let my grandmother down.
And your grandmother.
Yeah.
And who today are kids learning to not let down?
I think today there is a stronger job that folks like me and all of us need to do to just say and put your arms around kids and say, hey, look, first thing is don't let yourself down. And to give them a broader picture of who are some of the folks that are successful in life. It's not about being successful in money. It's not about being successful in who you were seen with. It's about, are you living a life that is a satisfied, happy life? That might be in philanthropic services or not-for-profit. It might be in the business environment. It might be as an entrepreneur. It might be in sports, but sports alone is not going to be that aspiration. And so I think that we have to be able, and they have to be able to see more people that care about them and that are willing to also help show them, man, here's some successful people from all walks of life, all colors, all backgrounds, because that's what kids need.
We had the director of so many great movies, Brian Grazer, in that seat less than 24 hours ago. And the question I asked Brian was, the definition of success is fill in the blank. And his fill in the blank was being present. What do you think about that, and what's your definition?
It's a great question. I'd probably say my definition of success is being able at some point in your life to look back and be really proud of what you see.
In the mirror.
Look in the mirror and look back at your life and be really proud of what you see. The people you've interacted with, whether or not you have supported their dreams and aspirations. Have you left things better than you found them? Have you been able to add value? Do people, when they talk about you, do they say, you know what, that's a great person?
When I talk about you, I light up because what I feel is energy, amazingly positive energy. If I studied you and studied your daily ritual and what you're doing and what goes on in your head, is there a habit that you have or have had that is part of creating you? And then what are you saying to yourself all day long, especially in corporate America? What messages are you telling yourself?
Corporate America is very different. Now I'm an entrepreneur and we're starting up a business, and it's a very different, there's such different worlds. It's a different energy. But I would say, are there things that I do? There's one thing that I do quite a bit, and it's a little crazy. People used to always know when I was coming in because I would whistle. Now, and for some people, they would think that this is just something I did one day or 2 days. People who knew me knew I whistled almost every single day. And a couple times, people would ask me why. My thought would be, why not? My whistling was basically just to say, it's going to be a great day. I'm walking in a great way. I believe most of us, and especially leaders, you have to understand and know that you carry the weather.
That you what?
You carry the weather.
You carry the weather.
You carry the weather. It is a huge responsibility, but when you walk in a room, you can bring sunshine or you can bring a thunderstorm. And there are times for thunder, but day in, day out, moment in, moment out, you gotta realize we're blessed to be here. I mean, this is wonderful. We get a chance to walk around, see people, see great things happening. Yeah, there's some other stuff happening too. It's going to be happening. There's some crazy stuff that happens, but there's so many wonderful things. The question is, which side do you want to live on? You choose that, and you choose the weather you bring. So
Both
I like
as a
to say I
leader
bring a
and
little
then
sunshine.
the leader and also the weather you're delivering to the whole group. So would you agree that the importance of the CEO cannot be overstated? It's that important?
I think it is. I think it is. I think the importance of a CEO, well, I'll tell you the importance in that which is not as important from my perspective. The thing that is very important is to try to set an environment in which others can achieve their highest level of aspiration. And that aspiration, you really, when you hire someone in an organization, you hope it's aligned with the values, mores, and the vision and the mission and the goals of the organization. So all that stuff's in there. And you want them to do a great job of executing that. But unless a person feels internally that achieving that is coincident with achieving their own life mission, then you're not going to get the most out of a person. And so the first thing, I think that environment is really the job of the CEO, as well as that vision, and then making sure you hire a lot of people around you that are much better than you are.
Yeah.
Which leads to the thing that the job is not. It is not the person that knows all.
The CEO.
Oh, absolutely not. I mean, if anything, it's the conductor of an orchestra.
So your ego is better off get it out, and focus on empowering others and helping other egos and helping others to succeed.
I believe that if I look back and I say, during the time I was there, when were we at our best? It'd be when all of those folks were being leveraged and they felt great and they were excited and we were charging up the hill at the same goal and we were about to implement McCafe coffees for the first time. Or we were starting a global digital transformation strategy, or we had just got all aligned around the world on a global sustainability strategy. Those things are so aspirational and fill people so much. I'd like to say, we were happy as could be when we blew the quarter out and had great earnings. We really were, but I would offer some of those other things as well are much more long-lasting, and they will fuel the earnings per share.
Yeah.
But they have to be a part of it.
So what is spectacularly and admirably unique about you is that at age 53, you are coming off one of the great CEO jobs on the planet, and you are all in as an entrepreneur. All in. Amazing. Tell us quickly what's going on. Tell us about what you're doing, but then I'm fascinated to hear what you say about what corporate America, quote unquote, needs to know that you now know about how entrepreneurship can be inserted better into that environment.
So it's so right now what we're doing is we've Liz and I and this phenomenal group of folks that I'm working with. They're just crazy phenomenal. They just, even sitting here now, I'm patting my feet. They keep me going. We started up this thing called Cleveland Avenue. Long story behind Cleveland Avenue. It's the street we grew up on. Liz and I 4 blocks apart. Never knew each other till we got to Purdue in college in the engineering school and realized we both grew up on Cleveland Avenue. So we call the company Cleveland Avenue. What we're doing, we're a food and beverage incubator and accelerator. So for everything from food technologies to food products and beverage products, innovative beverage products, everything from cold-pressed juices to infused waters and teas and different dispensing technologies to different restaurant concepts that we can accelerate for growth.
You're creating businesses, you're creating things, you're creating ideas.
Yeah. With entrepreneurs, and that's really the fun part. And it's also a combination of one thing that I believe is really important. Larger corporations have some phenomenal strengths in terms of some institutional knowledge, some functional knowledge and leverage. What entrepreneurs bring is a passion and an energy and there's no hill we can't take, and the craziest of ideas, a youthful spirit and an innovative nature that is not bound to the quarter. And that the combination of those two together is extremely powerful.
Even large companies who are not public, the question I have, so when I was running the Illinois Innovation Council, the idea that I had was to do demo days for one company, bring 20 relevant startups to a specific company so that it's just bring them together. Have a chief startup officer at a big company whose job is to find young companies, give them opportunities, right? So even if the company is not public, there's still a matrix structure that has to exist at some level to support a huge business. So my question is, can entrepreneurship and disruptive innovation exist in a matrix organized structure, or does it just kill the organization of the machine?
You know, that is, I think, going to be the question of the next several decades. But what I believe is that the smarter, larger organizations will realize that the energy outside of the organizations is an energy that if they can tap into it, will bring such an innovative culture inside that it will be amazing. It is, it's tough to innovate in a big company.
Yeah.
And the reason it is because you've got this great plan and you've got these great results, and this little innovative thing over here may only be this much relative to your overall earnings today. And so to get beyond the today phenomena, you've got to be able to infuse some energy and support that energy. And it's not about, and the other thing is everything that you look at won't succeed.
Right.
And you ought to foster it. So we want some of those things that won't succeed because that means we would have tried enough that we're going to find something to do.
And can the leader saying, don't be afraid of failure, you have to fail, it's part of evolving, is that part of the solution, or is that just lip service?
I think it's absolutely a part of the solution. And it's, you know, face the facts. It's a different job being the CEO of a large corporation. I think every leader wants to do exactly that. It's just a question of being able to do it and whether or not the culture that you're in is one that actually supports that level of innovation. Is
there a company you can point to or a leader you can point to that's just doing phenomenal on that level?
You know, I think there's several folks, and you know, I'm great friends with Ben Horowitz and Mark Andreessen. I think what they do in Andreessen Horowitz is phenomenal because, yeah, they're in the financial business. Yes, they're in the venture capital. But if you visit them and you talk with them, I mean, they're forever bringing in these young entrepreneurs, and they basically have this culture that catches them up. I think if you look in the tech industry really is a model for leading with these kinds of things. Also, there's some tremendous upstarts coming up. I mean, if you listen to Nick earlier, Nick's done some phenomenal things. Alinea, Next, Aviary, The Office. They're just crazy ideas. And so I think you have to look across the board at all of these sectors. It's no longer about, I'm in the food area, so I'll look in the food area for innovation. No, I'm in the food area. I'm looking for who's developing the next rocket blaster.
Because Cleveland Avenue, your new venture, is about looking everywhere and bringing the ideas to the food, beverage, restaurant space. Mm-hmm. One piece of advice that you've received that we have to know about that's mattered a lot in your career?
I received a lot of advice. My wife gives me probably even more than that. You know, I guess probably one of the biggest, I mean, I could start rattling off things like, you know, read the tea leaves. You know, the strongest and sweetest words a person ever hears, this is from my wife, was a person hearing their own name, which basically just said, know the folks and care about the folks that you're working with. For me, probably the strongest advice is always stay true to yourself. And someone mentioned this earlier. That means that you have to be willing to do things, say things, and make moves that people will look at, and they may be under the most severe scrutiny, but you have to stay true to yourself because that's the only thing that helps you sleep at night. And so I've tried to live my life by doing that.
We're going to do a lightning round here.
Okay.
Who's your hero?
Oh, My grandmother.
What book do we have to read?
Oof. For me, I'm going to tell you the Bible.
What saying do you think defines your life? Is there a quote or?
Oof. Man. He is who he is. There's nothing I dress up too much, bud. You're looking at it.
This is a risky one. Cubs or White Sox?
Ooh. I grew up on the near north side, big time Cubby fan, love Chicago. I love our Sox as well, but right now I got to say the Cubs. Clearly, we got to keep rolling.
What do you know now at age 53?
3.
That you did not know at age 40?
I would say just hold on. Whatever that thing is, that gut, that piece that you really feel you really want to do. When I was 40, I want to do it, but man, the woes of the world, I can't do it. At 53, I want to do that. I'm going to do that. And I'm going to do that no matter what. We're going there. We're going to that mountain, and we're going together. We're going to have a great time, but we're going. I'm going, we're going, and we're going to have fun along the way. I am much more convicted at 53 to change in the community, to change for entrepreneurs, to change in this space than I was at 40.
Your energy is phenomenal. Last question. Favorite menu item at McDonald's?
So, every day I'd have an iced coffee, sugar-free vanilla, skim milk. That was every day. Now, when I went around the world, I was in India. I liked the McAllo Tiki. I sit on Beyond Meat's board, so that helps too. Now that's substituting for my McAllo Tiki. McDonald's, Big Mac. Oh man, love a Big Mac. Fries, Egg McMuffins. I sound like a commercial. Yeah, I love our food.
The left-hand side of the menu is what you're saying, right?
Oh man, right. I'm a McFiend. I love McDonald's. I don't go nearly as much now though, but yeah, I still love it.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are graced on the stage by a truly unique man who was a major leader in the world and is an entrepreneur. And that transition is unique, and that transition is awesome. Don Thompson.